Sonic the Hedgehog, Sega's epic mascot, going through many changes in his career and... screw it, I can't think of anything original for this kind of an intro. So let's just cut to the chase. This year marks Sonic's 25th anniversary, which means it's time to make a retrospective marathon thingy, where I talk about my personal thoughts and experiences with the Sonic games that I've actually played, even though it's been a long time since I played most of them, and simply because I can't really think of a Forgotten Media Sonic episode in time for his anniversary. Oh well, I'm sure I'll think of something. I don't really remember how I got introduced to the Sonic games. I think the first one that I played was Sonic Heroes on the GameCube. Yeah, kind of the first big introduction to most of the active Sonic characters in modern Sonic. Oh, sorry, Legacy Sonic. Yeah, that's what they're calling him from now on, because obviously Sonic Boom is the new modern Sonic. Anyway, I enjoyed it. Team Sonic was the standard level, Team Dark was more challenging, Team Rose was the easiest out of the bunch, and Team Chaotix was very miss. It was all based around missions, so sometimes they can be really easy to complete, and other times they can be very annoying, like the Egg Fleet level, where you have to make it to the end of the stage without being detected by any of the enemies. But yeah, fun game and all, although it never quite explained when Metal Sonic decided to become the main villain and all that jazz. Around that time, I got introduced to the Archie Sonic comics, and then later getting Sonic Mega Collections for the GameCube, as well as the GameCube ports for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. So obviously I didn't start off the series in chronological order, and I just kept going back from Classic to Legacy, going back and forth on that. Yeah, I'm kinda glad I didn't start off the series in chronological order, otherwise there would have been a good chance that I would have ended up like these guys. So, starting off with the classic games, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, and 3. Well, there's not really much to say about them because 1, the whole damn world has already talked about them to death, and 2, they just recycled the same gameplay but added in new features here and there, which is very similar to the old Crash and Spyro games. But yeah, good games. 2 and 3 were probably my favorite ones. I didn't really care about the first one, and I found the theme for Green Hill Zone to be so frickin' overrated. But that's just me. Sonic and Knuckles, aka Sonic 3 Part 2, as I like to call it. Well, it's the same as the others, but I never got around to beating it. Got stuck in the Sanopolis Zone Act 2, so yeah, didn't make it that far in that game. Although I had some fun controlling Knuckles, since his gameplay was much different than the standard run and jumping that Sonic had. So yeah, nice optional change. Sonic CD. Got Sonic Gems Collection to play that before being ported onto every freaking virtual console. Same with the classics, a few new features thrown in, has some cool music whether it's the American or Japanese version, and that's it. Fun game. So that covers most of the major classic Sonic games. Here's a quick look at the other miscellaneous ones from Sonic's classic years. Sonic R, being the first and only appearance of Metal Knuckles and Tails doll, and then later the Archie Sonic comics would make better use of them. As for gameplay, well, it's way too freaking easy, unless you're playing as Amy or Robotnik, so yeah, it's blah. Sonic Spinball. Didn't care about that game that much. Took me a while to get the gameplay structured, and even after that, yeah, I didn't care. I never even got around to beating it. I got stuck at the machine level. Even when they threw in characters from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sad AM, it wasn't enough to hold me over. Sonic the Fighters, cool concept, except that I suck at those kind of games. The whole Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat gameplay. You know, you have to mash in like 5 buttons in a combination to perform one specific move or something. Yeah, not my cup of tea. I'm more used to Super Smash Bros. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Well, that game doesn't really count, since technically it's just an American port of Puyo Puyo, so yeah, not gonna feature it on the list. Sonic 3D Blast, another one of those games that was just so odd and too easy, especially with the special stages. I've heard that the Saturn version has some challenge to the special stages, but good luck in trying to find that version, let alone trying to find any kind of Sega Saturn games that's not super expensive. The Game Gear games. Well, I played some of them, like Triple Trouble, but that was a long time ago, so my memory's very foggy. At least the music in Sunset Park Act 3 was really epic. Now for Legacy Sonic, which was the Sonic games that I mostly grew up with, starting off with Sonic Adventure. The first one was fun, even with its outdated graphics and its very rushed voice recordings. Sonic levels were great, the Tails levels were fun as well. Feels like the sandboarding level was my favorite back when I was playing Tails. Knuckles was alright with the whole treasure hunting deal, didn't have that much trouble unlike most people. Amy's gameplay is the one that I didn't like the most because she's one of the slowest characters, and her stuff wasn't that interesting. It's just giant robot chasing you. Your hammer does nothing but stun the chaser for a while until he becomes completely invulnerable to your attacks until you beat the level. So yeah, I don't like it. Big the Cat was alright. Were you expecting some kind of a heartbreaking story about the grieving over this, and then pull out some lame Big the Cat joke that hasn't been done to death for over a freaking million times? Well, too bad. That shit got old years ago, so shut the fuck up. Maybe it's because I have a lot more patience and tolerance to put up with, unlike most people, so yeah, the big stages weren't that bad. Once you get the hang of it, it's really easy. Gamma was a lot of fun, always blowing up robots and everything in your path. The only downside to that character is that he's slow as molasses when it comes to climbing ladders. And then, of course, the story was all cool with the Chow Garden being a nice optional break from the main adventure. So yeah, Sonic Adventure was good. And then Sonic Adventure 2 came and made it better. Mostly. The Sonic and Shadow stages were great. The Tails and Robotnik stages were fun because they took the element from Gamma's gameplay and made it where you had to blow up everything that you see. Yeah, bam, bam, bam. Love doing that. And then there was Knuckles and Rouge, which were okay. Some of the things that I didn't like about the game was the rushed voice acting and the convoluted story. Back then, I just accepted it and thought it was simple, but nowadays I look at it and I go, something doesn't add up right. And then the whole deal about Shadow being mistaken for Sonic always kills me. He's clearly shown in the game, and yet everyone thinks he's Sonic. Even in the Sonic X version makes some sense because they mostly keep him in, they keep his identity in shadows for a while until it makes his big reveal. But in the game, nope, he's put into the freaking spotlight and everyone assumes that he's Sonic the Hedgehog, even though he looks nothing like Sonic the Hedgehog. I think Station Square has a bigger problem with the citizens being colorblind and all that. But either way, Adventure 2 was still a good game, despite its flaws. Shadow the Hedgehog, Shadow's first game on the console, and, well, I have mixed feelings about the game. It's like, yay, Shadow has his own game, although it's not quite what I expected. Yay, we're going around killing aliens and soldiers, even though I keep dealing with the load times. Yay, there are multiple paths to take for the player to decide who Shadow is, even though you have to beat the game 10 times to get the real ending. Sheesh, 10 times? I'm sorry, but 3 or 4 endings is my limit when it comes to those kind of games. And that is a shame. It's not like with Epic Mickey or Undertale where you make the decision on what you want the character to be like. In Shadow it has that, but then they threw in that real ending deal. So yeah, the whole different optional endings just feels rather pointless and very tedious to have to beat them all just to see how the game really ends. I don't know, it's been ages since I played it. I might revisit it one of these days, but yeah. Interesting experiment, though. Sonic Advance 3. Well, I've played it, but I don't remember much about it. Something to do with some kind of robot named Jim Merrill or something, that robot that nobody remembers before they eventually featured him as the Archie Sonic comics as more as Shard's replacement. Yeah, another one of those. I played it, but I don't remember much about it, and that was the same experience I had with Sonic Riders and Secret Rings. I played those games, but I don't remember much about them. Sonic Battle, a mindless button-mashing game full of mindless fighting. And I enjoy it. It's a lot better than playing Sonic the Fighters, in my opinion. Sonic Rivals 1 and 2. Well, it was a bit odd seeing some Sonic games on the PSP and at first, but in the end, they were okay. Not good, not bad, just okay. Sonic Rush. Now this is where things got a little bit more interesting. Introducing Blaze the Cat, the character that Sega can't make up their minds on what kind of title she has. Fun gameplay here and there, as well as the first time introducing Eggman Nega, that mysterious alternate version of Robotnik or something that Sega still refuses to let him be featured in the Archie Sonic comics because Sega said so. I think I like Sonic Rush Adventure much more than the first one. Felt like there was more variety with that. So yeah, the first one was good, but it took me forever to figure out how to get all the Chaos Emeralds. Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Ah yes, this game. A new Sonic game comes out, it's a throwback to the classics, and they feature Sonic with his, at the time, current design, and all hell broke loose in the fan base. They decided the logical reason to stop this game from being made by Sega was to boycott the company by buying multiple copies of Sonic 1, which was also made by Sega. Yeah, that's not how a boycott works. I really didn't expect much out of this, so I played the game twice, first on the Wii version and then the Steam version, and it was alright. Not perfect, but alright. I've heard people complain about the physics in the game, but I didn't have that much trouble with it. If it's because of that whole deal about Sonic being glued onto a ramp during mid-run or something, then I really don't see what the big frickin' deal is. I mean, it's just a glitch. It's not a game-breaking bug like the Metal Blade ability from Mega Man 2. Although Episode 1 was lacking some originality a bit with just recycling enemies and bosses from the past games, at least Episode 2 fixed that, and I have yet to beat it because I'm stumped in getting the last 2 Chaos Emeralds. Oh well, I've heard both endings to Episode 2 are crap anyway, because they were hoping to make an Episode 3, which obviously didn't happen. So in a nutshell, Sonic 4, it's not that bad. Sonic Unleashed, the Sonic game I like but everybody hates. With my personal experience with Sonic games, I've considered this to be the last best Sonic game. The idea of having 2 different bits of gameplay was nice, one half being the running stages and the other half being the beat the tar out of enemies stages. That was always fun. The running stages for me were alright, although they felt mostly slippery for the most part. I always looked forward to playing the Hedgehog stages more often because, well, I grew up with 3D platforming games, so this was that was more of my thing. Of course, beating up creatures and leveling up, yeah, that was fun too. People always criticize the Hedgehog stages and all, and yet some don't criticize it that much, but I have yet to meet someone who actually likes the Hedgehog stages more often than the running stages, and not going batshit insane over the designs and gameplay and all that shit. So far, I've only met one other person who actually likes the game and doesn't complain about the Hedgehog stages. Story-wise was decent, had that Sonic Adventure feel, which was nice. I've only played the Wii version, which is said to be the easier version of the game, so I'm sure one of these days I'll get around to playing the HD versions, mostly on the PS3, and go through and play it again. So yeah, Sonic Unleashed. I liked it. Sonic and the Black Knight, another one of those short-lived storybook games from the Sonic series. Well, it's Sonic set in medieval times, and I do like me some medieval stuff. Took me a while to get used to the controls with having to swing the sword around, but I didn't hurl it like a deranged lunatic. Seriously, I've seen people that demonstrate the controls for this game along with the Wii version of Sonic Unleashed, and it gets really tiring how they just go over the top with showing it. Either they're doing it just for the sake of a joke, or they have a very faulty controller. I just don't get it, because I never had to put up with that kind of crap. Anyway, the story was nice. The actors, the 4Kids actors, were really getting into their roles before being replaced by the next series of voice actors. Although I did find it odd seeing Amy Rose as the Lady of the Lake, and I always thought that was a role more fitted for Tikal. I mean, one, she has a mystical appearance and all that, and two, she has a friend made out of frickin' H2O for Pete's sake. After I defeated King Arthur, I thought that was it. Ugh, felt like a short game to me. But then months later, I found out there was actually more to the game, which I never got to experience because I rented Black Knight. I wouldn't mind revisiting it one of these days and actually beating it, so yeah. So at this point in time, the Sonic games were doing well for me. Unleashed was great, Black Knight was okay, but then Sonic Colors came out, and that game was absolute rubbish. Obviously, this is the Sonic game I hate, but everybody likes. Well, I might as well try and start with talking about the gameplay and all that. So they say it's like Unleash's gameplay, but without the Hedgehog stages. That's fine and all, but these so-called daytime stages are nothing spectacular, because you're just playing the level in 2D 90% of the time. Didn't have to put up with that much of that in Unleashed. And you know what pisses me off? Sega advertised this game as a 3D Sonic game, so I was expecting some 3D gameplay, something out of Sonic Adventure, not being forced to go 2D throughout the whole level with very little 3D segments in there. And of course there's the Wisps, which are kind of cool, but unlike some of the power-ups from the past games that were optional, these are mandatory to get through the levels. I had only one problem with one level in the game, but aside from that and the mandatory power-ups and its 2D styled gameplay, the game is just way too freaking easy and it bores me. But Sega still insists to call this game a 3D Sonic game. Yeah, 3D my ass. Now for the other thing that really pissed me off about this game is the story. Introducing Ken Pontac and Warren Graff, who have become the current writers for the Sonic game ever since this crap. The writing in this game is bad, and the jokes are just so painful to sit through, because most of the time the characters either do nothing, create plot points that go nowhere, or constantly explain things. And to add more salt to the wound, these two are not fans of Sonic the Hedgehog. They just looked him up on Wikipedia and called it a day. They don't know anything about the franchise's history, or Sonic Adventure, or why people like it. It's just there, basically. So instead of hiring people who actually know and care about the franchise, Sega just went out of their way and just hired the first two people they found on the streets and just hired them on the spot. Oi. So yeah, Sonic Colors. I don't like it. Sonic Generations. So Sonic's 20th anniversary comes and everybody's making a big deal out of Generations. I'll admit I was a bit excited for seeing this game since you have like the Egg Robos coming back and seeing a balance between 2D and 3D, but after playing it again, it doesn't really hold up as much as it used to. The classic Sonic stages do what they say, being 2D platforming and jumping and all of that. Well, the same can't be said for the Legacy Sonic's gameplay. Sure, there are some 3D gameplay bits here and there, but it still forces you to go 2D halfway through the stages. So in other words, they didn't bother trying to make a real 3D Sonic game for Legacy Sonic stages. They just recycled the gameplay from Sonic Colors instead. Not to mention the story is completely rushed, but then again, this is being written by two guys who don't give a shit about the franchise and its history. And don't get me started on the piss-poor final boss fight. Why Crush 40's remix of Sonic Boom wasn't featured as the final boss theme, I'll never know. So in the end, Generations isn't a bad game. It's just very average and maybe a bit rushed. It's full of a lot of missed opportunities, and the gameplay from Legacy Sonic needs a lot of work done so that it feels more like a proper 3D Sonic game. Not a game that forces you to go 2D 90% of the time with very little 3D segments that have no point in being there. Because if that's the case, why not just make the whole goddamn game 2D instead? Sonic Lost World. At this point in time, I stopped buying the new Sonic games, and I just stick to reading the Archie Sonic comics. That and my flaming hatred towards Pontac and Graff in handling the Sonic games. I saw some previews for Sonic Lost World, but I didn't get it, simply because I still don't have a Wii U. And I'm not getting the Steam version either, so don't bother gifting me that game. Although I can't criticize the game's gameplay, I can criticize it only from its story, since I've mostly seen most of the cutscenes on YouTube. And after seeing Lost World from a story perspective, it's an absolute train wreck. The Deadly Six are some of the most bland and boring characters since the Babylon Rogues. Tails suffers from mood swings, like he'll be like, "Oh, look at me, I made a satellite out of tree sap and potatoes." And then he'll be mad at Sonic for letting Robotnik helping them out, even though he's completely forgotten why he's letting them help them. And then, of course, Amy and Knuckles are just there. They have no purpose in being in the story, so there was no reason to put them in the game. And the ending is very weak. It shows Tails being roboticized, so will this lead into a mini-boss fight? Of course not, because in Pontac and Graff's world of Sonic, if those two so much as poke each other, it would be considered too violent and too extreme for the kiddies to handle. So after that missed opportunity, Tails somehow peels off the armor, and then we have Robotnik in a very last-minute final boss fight. This is exactly why I only stick to reading the Archie Sonic comics. We don't have to put up with that kind of shit. Sure, we've had to deal with some crap here and there, but it's not in every single issue. So yeah, Lost World. All I can say about that game is the story is terrible, and that I haven't played the game, and I probably never will. And that concludes my personal experiences with the Sonic games. Most of them were good, even though it went downhill when Sonic Colors came around. I actually played some of the recent mobile phone games like Sonic Dash, Sonic Runners, and Sonic Jump Fever, and out of all of them, Dash is the one that I like the most, simply because it's a proper 3D Sonic game. Yeah, haven't seen that kind of stuff in ages. Oh yeah, and then I also got Sonic Chronicles, but I haven't gotten that far into the game. I mostly got it for an idea for Forgotten Media, because aside from Shade the Echidna and the Ken Penders lawsuit, nobody really brings up this game or probably even remembers anything else that was featured in that game. Nowadays, when it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog, I only stick to reading the Archie Sonic comics, which are still going on since they're coming close to their 300th issue. So yeah, I'm still subscribed to them and I'm still enjoying them, even with the forced reboot. I still like them, simply because it's a hell of a lot better than whatever Pontek and Graf can come up with for Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh yeah, here's a quick update. They just announced the new Sonic game that was a part of his 25th anniversary event. Was it gonna be Sonic Adventure 3? Sonic Generations 2? Sonic Schoolhouse 2? No, it's just Sonic Mania. Yeah. So in other words, they pretty much listened to the classic Sonic Nazis again. So I saw the trailer for that, and, well, the game looks way too similar to those fan-made Sonic games. We get more of a before the sequel vibe from watching that trailer. So, am I gonna play this game when it eventually comes out and experience it for myself? No, I'm not gonna bother getting that fanboy bait. RG Sonic all the way for me. And apparently, around that same time, they also announced a new Legacy Sonic game, and it has classic Sonic being shoehorned in. Again. It's times like this where I've really started to develop a hatred against classic Sonic. But other than that, that's all the info that we got. So in other words, this is exactly like the Crash Bandicoot announcement at E3, where they briefly mentioned that they're going to be making a new Crash game by remaking the classic trilogy, and then put most of their focus and attention on the new Skylanders games because Crash is a PS4 exclusive. So I saw the trailer and all that, and it looked cool, aside from the classic Sonic being shoehorned in bit. But knowing Sega's track record for false advertising, I'm not really gonna be that interested in the game. I'm sure it's just gonna be another Sonic game that heavily advertises itself as a 3D Sonic game, when it's not really a 3D Sonic game. And Pontek and Graf are going to be making another piss-poor story, like they've always done since Sonic Colors. So yeah, just like with Sonic Mania, I'm going to completely ignore this game as well, cause, again, Archie Sonic all the way for me. And that's it. I'm done talking about the Sonic Retrospective. My voice is getting really sore from doing this marathon of a video. Eh, I'm going back to bed now. So, remember that Sonic Retrospective that I did where I talked about Sonic games that I've personally played? Well, it's no surprise that some people have taken my thoughts and opinions the wrong way, and were making claims that weren't really true, like somebody was calling me a Sonic hater. Yeah, I'm a Sonic hater because most of the games that I featured on the list were games that I actually liked playing, and still like playing whenever I get the chance to play them. Yeah, that makes total logical sense. But other than that, there are a few aspects that I wasn't quite clear on, so in this video I'll try to explain some things like why I like Legacy Sonic more than Classic Sonic, explaining why my interest in the games quickly declined after Colors, as well as some more detail on why I have no interest for Sonic Mania, the 2017 project. Also, when it comes to me making fun of the fan base and all that, I tend to throw in a lot of dark humor in there. So I'm sure a lot of people were probably offended by the the line where I was saying, "Oh, they've been listening to the classic Sonic Nazis again." Yeah, well, that's just me throwing in some dark humor. But yeah, not a lot of people are that open-minded or like dark humor. So yeah, quick apology to anyone that was offended by that joke. But anyway, I'm sure this might hopefully clear up some things, but then again, it's the Sonic fan base, so even after I try to explain certain aspects, people are still going to attack me and all that shit. Well, that's life. For the games that I liked, there were a lot of them that I enjoyed or thought they were decent. Some of them I didn't really care for that much, and only one of them that I have a flaming hatred towards. Obviously, I'm more of a Legacy Sonic fan, but some people think that I hate Classic Sonic because there's a segment where I say that I'm developing a hatred against it. Well, first off, there's a distinct difference between developing a hatred and already having a hatred. Second, I don't hate Classic Sonic as a whole. I dislike a majority of its fans because I find most of them to be annoying, too nostalgic, or they're just flat out prejudiced against anything not related to Classic Sonic. But again, I don't hate Classic Sonic. I even stated that 2 and 3 were the ones that I liked the most. But obviously, Sonic Heroes and the Adventure games was the Sonic I grew up on. And when I played the old classic games, they were fine. Nothing wrong with them, I just wasn't that interested or drawn towards them, unlike most people were. When I think of Sonic the Hedgehog, I think of more than just speed. I think of action, I think of adventure, I think of crazy and colorful characters, I think of big areas to explore from both a story and a gameplay perspective, and so on and so on. The classic games has some of that, but the way the fanbase treats it, it's really overshadowed. Not to mention that there actually is some backstory and maybe some lore in the older games, but that's only in the instruction manuals. 'Cause nobody reads the instruction manuals! So again, I don't hate classic Sonic, it's just that in recent years Sega likes to exploit him way too much, but we'll get into that later. And I have yet to meet a mature classic Sonic fan that doesn't go batshit insane over the other different incarnations of Sonic. Now let's move on to the next subject that a lot of people were pissed off about, my disliking against Sonic Colors. I'm sure people were saying that I was being completely biased or that I was just following Roger Vanderwey's thoughts and other reasons. Well, one, yeah, maybe I was being a bit biased. And two, I was one of the first few people to come out and say that I didn't like the game. It just took me a while to get my thoughts on the internet, that's all. But other than that, there's obviously one thing that differentiates me between the fan base, and that's obviously Sonic 06. Back when it came out, I didn't play that game simply because I didn't have the money to get a PS3 and 360, so it was just an event that just came and went for me. And when I heard about it on the internet, I was obviously one of those people that was easily brainwashed by people's opinions, and then coming out and saying, yeah, this game's bad even though I haven't played it. Yeah, this is what we would call in the trend, cheating. Nowadays, I'm really annoyed by people talking about it so much because it came out like years ago, Sega's learned their lesson about it, but still, people keep talking about it. Seriously, it's been over 10 fucking years since the game came out, and nobody will shut the hell up about it. And still, to this day, I haven't experienced 06 for myself because, what's the point? Anyway, the point is, the fanbase was apparently so broken in both a physical and mental state after the game and wanted something more lighthearted, and even before that, both critics and fans were being really unfair in bashing Unleashed and Black Knights. Like, yeah, they weren't that bad. I pretty much considered Unleashed to be the last best Sonic game, and Black Knight was fun. So they eventually got their wish when Sonic Colors came out as more of a step back to the older fans. For me, I wanted to see something new with the Sonic games, I wanted to see what else they could do, since they've done a lot with the Venture and Unleashed, it's like, yeah, what kind of cool stuff can they do now? But then Colors came out, and obviously I didn't get any of that. It just felt more like a step back in the wrong direction. The game was falsely advertised, the story is bad, the characters are annoying, and a majority of its gameplay is just boring. Sure, it has flashy lights and bright colors and all that, but most of its gameplay is either way too easy or just too slow. Clearly, my expectations were just way too high for it, and it was a huge disappointment for me. One thing I forgot to mention about Colors is that it's only the Wii version that I have a flaming hatred for. I never got around to playing the DS version because after I beaten the Wii version, I just had no interest with the DS version. But over time, I've grown a little bit curious about it, so who knows, maybe I'll give the DS version a chance and find some enjoyment in that. But as for the Wii version, it just screams, we're trying to be like Classic Sonic, love us! To me, which leads into the next topic. Me developing a hatred against Classic Sonic. Remember back in the day when Sonic 4 came out and it was more of a throwback to the classics? Sure, the first episode was just a copy and paste job of the first two Sonic games, but at least the second episode was trying to be more original. It had new levels, new enemies, new abilities, the works. And yet, nobody played that episode. It wasn't that great, but it definitely isn't bad as a whole. It's just a nice little throwback, that's all. And then it all started to kick in with Colors came in. They featured a lot of classic badness started showing up again, and then Generations featured a bunch of them, though I'll give that game a free pass since there's at least some reason to have them in there. Sonic Lost World featured more classic elements again, especially with the badniks again. But except this time they don't look that threatening, they just look very cartoony and just flat out look ridiculous. And then, of course, we got the mobile phone games. Yeah, throwing in classic Sonic and all those other classic elements. Not to mention, other than that, there was a huge merchandising of classic Sonic materials scattering all over the place. Sega just kept exploiting classic Sonic so much that I'm just sitting here just saying, wasn't Sonic 4 enough? All this praise and worship just gets really annoying for me. So, sure, nostalgia's one thing, but that's the thing. Other companies have done it so many times that it's already becoming a tired cliche. And it just feels like Legacy Sonic's being treated like the outlaw because some high and mighty internet critic talked about it, and then people started repeating his exact opinions even though they've never really experienced the game for themselves. Again, cheating! Yeah, yeah, I mean, come on, like, Legacy Sonic games, like, not all of them were bad, like, half of them were good. Well, from my experience, I don't know, I haven't really played any, bad Sonic games. But I mean, come on, Legacy Sonic wasn't always that bad. Oi. Anyway, the current three major Sonic video game medias in recent years, there's not really much of a balanced variety. There's just way too much classic Sonic media, and even before Mania was announced, too much throwbacks, too much nods, too much merchandising, and it just comes off as distracting, and it really decreases ideas of what the series could have been. You know, come up with more wild and crazy ideas like they had with the adventure games, rather than trying to play safe just to appease that side of the fan base. Now, Sonic Boom is obviously trying to be the new modern Sonic. It's also getting its attention and trying to be hip with the kiddies and all that jazz. But I really didn't care about Sonic Boom. It looked cool and all, but then dialogue started showing up, and it just, yeah, it took most of the complaints that I had with Sonic Colors and trying to be, too kiddie, and they just made it even worse. But anyway, so yeah, classic Sonic, too much merchandising, Sonic Boom being the new modern Sonic. Legacy Sonic, on the other hand, doesn't get jack shit with today's media. The only company that's keeping him alive and still cares about him are the Archie Sonic comics. But even then, they were hit with another lawsuit by another former writer, so it just adds more to the fear that the comics will bite the dust by the end of 2016. Yeah, who knows? I'll pretty much guarantee that by the end of this, Carl Boilers is gonna jump onto the bandwagon. But as I said before, there's not really a decent balance between the three majorities of current Sonic medias. Classic Sonic is overpraised, Sonic Boom's being the new thing, and Legacy Sonic's just falling into obscurity, just like how Epic Mickey was once in the spotlight, but nowadays it's pretty much been forgotten. So yeah, instead of trying to, balance out with different majorities, it just feels like Sega's only picking sides, like, obviously they're only picking the classic Sonic sides and all that shit. I guess one thing I'll have to mention in this category is that Sega stated that they still call Legacy Sonic modern, and they call the other one Boom Sonic. But after all this information I described in my own words, especially with most of the new modern Sonic games being all Sonic Boom related, I really find that hard to believe, and I'm already reaching the point where I don't believe a single word Sega says anymore because of those reasons. Now for the final section of this long follow-up that most of you were waiting for, the upcoming Sonic games like Sonic Mania, the game that I simply described as fanboy bait. I've already stated that I didn't care much about the Genesis games, yet I still liked some of them. I already talked about how I feel about Sega heavily exploiting it before the game was announced. And I guess the only other thing I can bring up is that it's being worked on by a company that has made fan-made Sonic games in the past, which you'd think that it would sound interesting if it wasn't for the fact that there's already been way too many fan-made Sonic games, especially when a majority of them are all in the classic style. Whether it be the exact same game but with a cheap gimmick thrown in, or they try to be more creative and original, it's very half and half. And yeah, it's always on classic Sonic. I rarely come across anything related to like Legacy Sonic or anything. So after dealing with all of this and watching the trailer for Sonic Mania, it just felt very underwhelming to me. I mean, you could have easily have made this game back in like when they made Mega Man 9 and 10 back then, but nope, it took them this long, even though they had thousands of opportunities in the past to do it, and by the time they actually made it, it was already too late to me. I mean, seriously, how the hell is this game gonna be any different from any other fan-made game we've already had? Because it just feels like Sega went through a list of fan-made games, found the one that they liked the most, and just slapped their seal of approval on it. So in other words, it's Street Fighter X Mega Man all over again! Yeah, remember when that game used to be a thing? And that's about it for the Sonic Mania bit, and still I have no intentions of buying this game and playing it out for myself. Then there's the 2017 project. Right off the bat, I figured that the teaser trailer was going to be a flat-out lie, because Sega doesn't really do a good job advertising their Sonic games recently. Did Sonic Colors turn out to be the 3D action game like they heavily advertised? No. Did the 3DS version of Sonic Generations feature levels from Sonic's handheld adventures? No. Well, except for Water Palace from Sonic Rush. Is Sonic Boom reintroducing its characters in this new universe? No. Is the Sonic Boom TV show really an adventure series? No. Is the 2017 project really a game meant for the legacy Sonic fans? No. Because if that was the case, then why is Classic Sonic in there? We already have him in Sonic Mania. Why do we need him in this game? Was there really such a high demand for Sonic Generations 2? The trailer for the game is obviously not what I was expected. It's like, sure, it started off pretty cool, and then Classic Sonic had to ruin it all. They stated that Mania will be more for the classic fans, and this one will be more for the legacy fans. But that's my main criticism. So far, it's not meant for the legacy Sonic fans. They should have just said it's just for the casual Sonic fans. You know, someone who likes both classic, legacy, and Boom Sonic all together, because when I think of a game meant for legacy Sonic fans, I think of Sonic Adventure 3 or Sonic Heroes 2 or Unleashed 2 or, anything in that category and not just shoehorning in classic Sonic in there just for a cheap fan service gimmick. So obviously I was very negative towards the game and I'd already planned not to get it. But then again, it's just a teaser trailer and they really didn't show any gameplay or anything. It was just a random cinematic movie. So I guess I can't be too harsh on it. Until I get more concrete evidence on how the game is actually going to play like, I'll just leave the 2017 project as questionable. So who knows, maybe this game is the Sonic game I've always wanted. The return of well-balanced gameplay and story, because, well, that's all I want for a new Sonic game is balance. Balance between 2D and 3D, balance between, gameplay styles, balance between story-wise, so that it's not too dark and serious like something out of Arkham Knight, and not too cartoony that it becomes annoying, like whenever Pontac and Graph write for a Sonic game, balance. That's all I'm asking for a Sonic game is balance. So yeah, maybe I'll get that in the 2017 project. Or maybe it's just going to be another Sonic Colors game. But even if that happens, I'll still enjoy Sonic despite the minor changes he's gone through, the games that I've actually played, as well as the comics until they're evidently cancelled. That's about it, so I'll see you next time.